The grid ranking, there are 6 drivers that started the weekend with a shot at the grid ranking world championship. Max Verstappen winning from pole for the 14th time, eliminated Shane van Gisbergen. Rodi Kostecki, Jorge Martin, and Pecco Bagnaia are in a must-win situation. They can still overtake Verstappen, but must win to score Alex Palou. For Max Verstappen, 2 more Grand Prix wins, and he will be the 2023 grid ranking world champion. So Isha, Max has 14 poles this year. McLaren looks to be getting closer to him in Red Bull. McLaren contend for some poles rest of the season, perhaps the next race at Circuit of the Americas.
Alex, McLaren could absolutely contend for poles in the next race if Max Verstappen wasn't the man leading the pack. I mean, McLaren has made some incredible improvements in the past few races, right? Everyone knows that. That's obvious from the past few races. However, when we look at Max Verstappen's performances, the only way any driver or any team, whether that's Mercedes or Ferrari or McLaren, can beat Max Verstappen is if he has an extremely unlucky day and his car malfunctions or something like that. Because just looking at today's race alone, there was a point where Max was over 30 seconds ahead of second place Oscar Piastri. So while the second and third place spots might be getting closer and closer, specifically for McLaren, Max, you could say, is getting farther and farther from them either way. Now, if we look at the sprint race from yesterday, you could say that, maybe there's a possibility that Oscar could, get in front of Max. But I think that with yesterday's race, Max knew that it was a sprint race, so he wasn't pushing as hard as he could have pushed if it had been a Grand Prix like he did today. So, I feel like it's obvious, it's evident that in looking at the Grand Prix, Max is always about 20 seconds, 30 seconds ahead of whoever's in second place. So even though McLaren's doing such a great job, I don't really see them being or winning the pole positions until the end of this season, at least.
Yeah, you should have to agree with that. I think we're going to have to wait till 2024 before we see if McLaren can really start taking the fight to Red Bull. And for everyone who enjoyed that 2021 season of Formula One, I'm sure we all hope that's going to be the case, so Max can actually have a fight on his hand rather than just running away with it just about every single week. And Isha, you mentioned Max being many seconds up the road. I thought it was really funny today when Max was like 22 seconds ahead, and then Red Bull coming to Red Bull like, Max, you need to pick up the pace. I'm like, he's over 20 seconds ahead. Like, how much faster do you really need to go? So I didn't really understand that, but yeah, it's been great to see the progress that McLaren has made throughout the season. Hope it continues over the off season. Hope Ferrari is able to get better, Mercedes as well, so we can have a lot more parity in Formula One. But yeah, I don't think we're going to see McLaren contending for the pole at the Circuit of the Americas or for the rest of the season unless Max Verstappen stays home, as you kind of suggested, Isha.
And now the rest of the grid ranking with 7 race weekends remaining in the season. William Byron has been slowly moving up and is now 12th in the grid ranking. He could potentially get into the top 10. October 27th could be the weekend Max Verstappen wraps up this year's grid ranking. Now, one more race the weekend after that. MotoGP, World Rallycross, Supercars, and F1 will still have to go. Be sure to follow us on gridranking.com and X, which is formerly Twitter, and social media accounts to follow the latest. Next weekend, we have MotoGP, the NASCAR Cup Series, and IMSA competition for the Grid Endurance Performance Index.